Is $2 million in your 401k enough to retire? It is the multi-million-dollar question that keeps so many of you lying awake at 3 o'clock in the morning, staring at the ceiling, paralyzed by the fear that the money you have spent 40 years sacrificing for could somehow vanish or fall short before you take your final breath. You have done everything right. You skipped the vacations, you maxed out your contributions, you watched that account balance tick up, and now you are standing at the edge of the diving board, ready to jump into retirement, but you are absolutely terrified that the pool might be empty. You look at that number, $2 million, and you think, this has to be enough, right? You start worrying about the spiking cost of healthcare, you worry about a sudden stock market crash wiping out 30% of your hard-earned cash right after you hand in your resignation, and you worry about the absolute worst-case scenario, outliving your money and becoming a financial burden to your children. I know that fear, and I am here to tell you that fear is a useless emotion unless you turn it into smart, decisive action. Let's strip away the noise and look at the cold, hard reality of what $2 million actually means for your life. First of all, give yourself some credit, because having $2 million in a retirement account puts you in an elite tier of savers in this country, well above the national average. But an impressive number on a statement does not automatically guarantee financial freedom. The truth is, $2 million is absolutely enough for some of you, and it is dangerously short for others. Why? Because wealth is not just about what you have accumulated, wealth is about how much it costs you to live. If you are entering retirement with an expensive lifestyle, a massive mortgage, and a mountain of credit card debt, $2 million will burn down faster than a match in a hurricane. To understand how this money works, you have to look at how it translates into everyday income. You cannot just divide $2 million by 30 years and hope for the best. You have to understand the modern rules of distribution. For decades, the gold standard was the 4% rule. But modern financial data, especially with recent market volatility and inflation pressures, tells us that a truly safe baseline starting withdrawal rate for a balanced portfolio is closer to 3.9%. Let's do the math together. If you apply a conservative 3.9% withdrawal rate to a $2 million portfolio, it generates $78,000 in gross annual income. Now, I want you to listen to me very closely, because this is where so many people make a catastrophic mistake. That $78,000 is not what lands in your checking account. If your money is sitting in a traditional, tax-deferred 401k, every single penny you withdraw is treated as ordinary income. The Internal Revenue Service is standing right there at the retirement finish line, waiting to take their cut. So that $78,000 might actually feel like $60,000 or less after federal and state taxes are stripped away. If your annual living expenses are $90,000, you have a massive, gaping hole in your plan. But here is the good news, and this is where you take control of your destiny. Your 401k does not live in a vacuum. You have other puzzle pieces to put together. You have Social Security, and you might even have a traditional pension. If you and your spouse are both collecting Social Security, that could easily add another $40,000 or $50,000 of guaranteed, inflation-adjusted income to your household every single year. When you combine that guaranteed baseline with your calculated portfolio withdrawals, your total household income could comfortably climb past $120,000 a year. So how do you know, with absolute certainty, if you can safely step away from your job tomorrow? You must answer 3 non-negotiable questions. First, what is your exact, line-item cost of living? You cannot guess this. You need to know down to the single dollar what it costs to keep your lights on, pay your property taxes, buy your groceries, and cover your insurance. Second, how much of that total expense is completely fixed versus how much is discretionary fund money? And third, what is your tax strategy for pulling this money out? If you want to ensure your $2 million lasts as long as you do, your immediate actionable takeaway is to implement a flexible dynamic spending strategy. The biggest threat to your retirement security is sequence of returns risk, which is just a fancy way of saying a bad market crash occurring in the first few years of your retirement. If the stock market takes a dive right after you retire, and you keep mindlessly pulling out the exact same big chunk of money, you are forcing your portfolio to sell investments at rock-bottom prices, and it may never recover. To protect yourself, you need to build a financial cushion. Right now, before you retire, make sure you have 1 to 2 years of your essential living expenses tucked safely away in high-yield savings accounts, short-term certificates of deposit, or money market funds completely separate from your stock market investments. This is your peace of mind bucket. When the market goes through a volatile rough patch, you stop drawing from your stock portfolio entirely and you live off the safe cash reserves bucket. This gives your investments the critical time they need to rebound without being cannibalized. Additionally, you must commit to a flexibility mindset. If the market has a bad year, you scale back on the luxury spending, you delay the big European cruise, you put off the expensive home renovation, and you tighten your belt just a little bit until the storm passes. By adjusting your spending downward by even 5 to 10% during market downturns, you dramatically extend the lifespan of your retirement nest egg. $2 million is an extraordinary tool, but a tool is only as good as the master using it. It is enough to buy you a beautiful, secure, worry-free retirement, but only if you have the discipline to track your expenses, protect your cash flow, and manage your taxes with absolute precision. Stop letting fear dictate your future. Take control of your numbers today, build your cash cushion, stay flexible, and you will create the unbreakable financial freedom you so deeply deserve.